So Dr. Ravi was trying to give you an overview of all the 5 phases, but there were a lot of questions, and then we stopped at the measure phase. But I'm going to try the challenge again, right? But again, it's going to be the overview of the phases: analyze, improve, and control. Certain things you may understand at the outline level, right? Because the intention is not to go deeper, right? So in the analyze phase, there are certain important critical questions you are expected to answer. Have you identified? I will only read out the questions. Have you identified the sources of waste? Have you identified the sources of risk? Have you identified the sources of variation? Why you need to identify the sources of all these things? Because these 3 things causes failure in your business process. Have you identified the potential X factors and as well as the critical ones? When you have answer for all these questions, you're done with the analysis. If you still don't have clarity or answers for these questions, you have to further investigate and then come out precisely on the potential X as well as critical ones. Have you statistically validated the root cause? Is it whatever the factor you think as a critical? Is it only your opinion or is it also the fact? And that is called validation. You have to master a tool called hypothesis testing, which we will be learning in the analyze phase. Has the validated factor sufficient to produce the result? You have understood the baseline, that is your current level of performance in the measure phase, but in the project charter, you have committed a target. Your goal says some target. Is there a difference between the baseline and the target value? Do you really feel that the number of critical factors you identified, if you fix them, will help you to jump the gap? Or if you feel that the number of factors you found as critical are really not sufficient to produce the result you expect, then you have to further investigate, add some more factor. So this is called a sufficiency of factor. You will be able to comment on the sufficiency of the factor only if you master the statistical tool called regression analysis. So these are the major questions. You should be able to find answer by going through the phase called analyze, right? And also, have you identified any new risk? By solving a problem, you should not invite some new problems. Your job is to solve a problem. That should not bring another problem. So always risk should be assessed before your project and after your project, or before the solution, after the solution, what is the risk? If the risk doesn't change much, then your solution can be considered for implementation. So these are the major questions you need to answer. So these are the steps in the analyze phase. List the potential X factor, then identify and validate the critical factors, and then verify the sufficiency of the factor. When I say sufficiency, it simply means what is the influence of each factor on your Y variable. For example, there are 2-3 people are here teaching you. I am delivering certain session, RK is delivering certain session, Dr. Ravi has already delivered certain session, and definitely it will have a different amount of impact in your learning. Probably I may be covering 50% of your black belt body of knowledge. RK might be covering 25%. Dr. Ravi might be covering 25%. This is called influence of each factor on your Y. Similarly, you should be able to understand the influence of each of the X variable, at least the critical variable, on your Y. Accordingly, when you optimize the particular X, what could be the impact you will get? You will be able to make a right judgment. And again, the answer comes from the regression only. And then I have mapped the tools to ease your learning. And suppose if you are in step number 7, because Six Sigma is all about 15 simple steps. In step number 7, you can explore tools like brainstorming, fishbone diagram, Y-way analysis, value stream mapping, value add and non-value add analysis, FMEA, that is which is failure mode and effect analysis, and then focused problem statement. Focused problem statement is nothing but redefining your problem. Generally, when we will redefine the problem, once we gain better understanding about the problem, we'll redefine the problem. The redefined statement is called focused problem statement. And somebody asked a question about the living project charter being a living document. Yes, project charter is a living document. As you progress through the project, you put a lot of effort, collect data, analyze, you will start understanding more and more. As you start understanding more and more, it is important to update your project charter, and then get it approved. And one of such activities, redefining the problem with with the focus onto the onto the specific problem. Initially, you might have a broader idea about the problem, but when you collect the data, you will gain a better clarity on what is exactly the problem, and so your problem statement will get redefined, and that is called focused problem statement. And any major change happens in your project charter, immediately it should be reapproved, and definitely project charter is a living document, right? You can update it whenever it is required. And similarly, the tools like this is a fishbone diagram. In a fishbone diagram, it is one of the 7 QC tool. You will be taught again in detail in the analyze phase. Generally, the problem which you want to solve is written on the head of the fish. The problem is your Y variable. So Y variable is on the head, and you see a main bone, and then there are 8 sub bones leading from the central bone, right? And these eight bones are called the categories. You can have any number of categories. 6 categories generally people use. 6M: men, machine, material, method, measurement, and mother nature. Each factor, whether it comes under men related category, then you put it somewhere here. If it comes under measurement related, put it somewhere else, right? So the number of categories and the title for the category can be decided according to your problem, according to your industry, and there is no rigid rule. And generally the X will appear on the bones, Y will appear on the head of the fish. And visualizing, when people see, they will better understand, right? And that's why we visualize the problem in the way of fishbone. When people better understand the problem, they will come forward to put all efforts to solve the problem. So that will make your project a successful one. And that is why we are visualizing the discussion in the form of a fishbone. All right. And then this is a YY analysis. Most of the time when you talk to people, they will talk only about the symptoms, rarely about the causes. So how will you peel away the layers of symptoms and then actually record the causes? You can use a tool called YY analysis, right? So you ask the question why repeatedly to the required number of times. Sometimes you can peel away the symptom and reach to the cause within 3 whys. Sometimes you go up to 5 whys. Sometimes you go beyond 5 whys. But the tool is called 5-why analysis. It can be combinedly used. You can use a fishbone diagram. In between, you can ask the question why, and then the entire discussion is called brainstorming. So all the tools, can be mixed up. Ultimately, we want to solve the problem. And this is a kind of value stream mapping. You can see how your process is flowing. A milling activity, and then a welding process, and then some pressing, and it goes on like this. How the process is flowing at every station, how much amount of inventory is available, because you want to get an idea about the inventory also. So how the material is flowing, and over and above how the information is flowing, everything appears in a single sheet. The entire operation from order till delivery is now made visible on your table. So this is the beginning point of your analysis, to understand all the non-value adding stuff, to understand all the risk areas, to understand all the sources of variation. So creating a value stream map will help you better understand the problem, right? And then moving on to the 8th step, identification, validation of critical X. And now, how do you understand the criticality? The cause and effect diagram helped you to list all the potential X. Now there are 100 X. Do you really have resources to work on all the 100 X? Obviously, no, right? All of you will be definitely busy, and then priorities are important. So how will you prioritize the 100 X? All the 100 needs to be written in a particular order using some prioritization tool. One of the prioritization tool is impact control matrix, or other words, you can also try to use cause and effect matrix. The cause and effect matrix will help you to narrow down your focus from a wide list of X factors to a very few critical X factor. And once the very few critical X factors came to your view, you can further investigate on the critical factor. And further investigation, why do you do further investigation? This is where you will draw a boundary between the opinion and the fact. Now, with all the cause and effect discussion, YY analysis, brainstorming, expert opinion, and you have doubt on 5 factors. And now you will actually do a thorough investigation on all the 5 factors. And that is called hypothesis testing. You will do the thorough investigation. What is your objective? Your objective is to test the criticality. Experts are telling this factor is critical. Experts are telling that cutting tool angle, if it changes even by a small amount, that will affect your surface finish. And you didn't know about it so far. You have taken it lightly, but now your experts are telling that it is very critical. Is it really critical? You can validate by doing some experimentation, and that is called hypothesis testing. You will be learning a lot of hypothesis testing procedure by manual method as well as the Excel and Minitab method. Some of them are listed here: t-test, ANOVA, 2 proportion, and chi-square. And then the sufficiency, as I already told you, correlation and regression analysis will let you understand what is the impact each single factor can make on your Y. And so, in order to get your Y optimized, you will be adjusting the X variables. And if you do this analysis step properly, the improve phase will happen very smoothly, automatically. The solution will automatically evolve if you take care of the analysis properly. Right. Ultimately, the analyze phase, our goal is to validate the root causes. There are so many potential causes, but ultimately we are interested in validating the root cause. It is sometimes it is just a single factor. Sometimes it could be a combination of 2-3 factors. Right. And then moving on to the improve phase. The important question that or the important steps in the improve phase is generate and evaluate alternative solution. Now you can talk about the solution. Why? Because you defined the problem, you measured the problem, you analyzed it, you understood the criticality, you understood the relationship. Now you are definitely fit to talk about the solution. You know everything about the problem, and now call all the team members, talk about the solution. Again, do a brainstorming, right? And that means you are now ready to generate as well as evaluate alternative solution. Every problem can have 10 solutions, but all 10 solutions cannot be implemented. The one which your organization likes will get implemented. So how will you get the buy-in of your management to choose a particular solution? There are certain techniques, including brainstorming, your nominal group technique, critical thinking, Pooh matrix, and so many tools are available. You will be using it. And then select and optimize the best solution. The single solution is selected. How can I optimize and then get best out of it? That's optimization. Here you will be learning the design of experiments. And then pilot it. What you cannot understand theoretically, you can understand practically. Implement the solution in a smaller magnitude. And now the new issues and new challenges which you have not understood during the theoretical investigation can now be understood, right? And that is called the piloting. And then make appropriate adjustment. And now implement the solution in a full scale and again validate. Because actually after implementing the solution, whether the problem is really solved or not, how do you know? Again, you have to collect data. Again, when you want to collect the data, again error can come. So again, you have to do all the validations, and solution actually produced the result, and that you get it confirmed through the validation procedure. And then these are the tools you will be learning: benchmarking, creative thinking, multi-voting, nominal group technique, design of experiments, simulations, right? And then Pooh matrix. So these are all tools which will make you, really fit enough to carry on all the activities in the improve phase. You will be learning each one of it one by one. And then the main deliverable of the improve phase, a single solution is selected. A single solution is selected with the buy-in of your top management, right? And then it is that point of time you